Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day. Jesus Christ.
One of the most insane podcast clips ever has just dropped, and I have to share this because of how wild this is. The fact that this happened while they were recording. So during an episode of the Joe Rogan podcast with his guest FBI Director Kash Patel, Joe Rogan discovers that Elon Musk is accusing Trump of being in the Epstein files through the tweet that I'm sure you all have already seen or heard of, where Elon Musk said, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald J. Trump." I'm going to play for you their initial reaction here and get to my thoughts on where this conversation goes.
This is going to come up because it's been going on since we've been recording here. Elon and Trump seem to be in a bit of a spat, Joe. You want to check the tweet that Elon just put out a little bit ago?
Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day. Jesus Christ.
I'm not participating in any of that conversation
What
between
is he?
Elon
Have a
and Trump.
nice day, DJT. Someone should take his phone away.
They're going back and forth about different things. And
Yeah. Listen,
Well, he said he was disappointed in Elon.
yeah, they told him to leave.
Jesus Christ, that's a crazy thing to say. How does he know? Does he know that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files? Or does he have access to the Epstein files?
I don't know how he would, but I'm just staying out of the Trump-Elon thing. That's way outside my lane.
What the fuck are they doing?
I know my lane, and that ain't it.
I just don't. I mean, I understand he owns Twitter. I think it's bad for your mental health. I think posting things public all day and arguing with people all day is bad for you.
Well, you raise a great point. Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Half of what we have to respond to is the click army on social media.
Right.
Right.
And 50% of that plus is bots.
50% of that plus is bots, but let's take the other 50% of that.
I'm sorry. Elon Musk just tweeted out that Trump is in the Epstein files, and the conversation that comes out of that is discussions around social media bots. Can you imagine if Rogan was interviewing Biden's FBI director, and during that conversation, one of Biden's closest former allies comes out and says, "Biden's in the Epstein files." Do you think the conversation would immediately go somewhere else? You're talking to Kash Patel, who says in that clip, "I'm staying out of this. This has nothing to do with me." You're the FBI director. The FBI investigated Epstein. How does this not have anything to do with you? This has everything to do with you. You're the perfect person to be on the podcast while this is happening. And Rogan just moves on. Not even just moves on. Here's the follow-up clip. This is where the conversation eventually goes. This is just 2 minutes later.
But let's take the other 50% of that. It's just constantly pushing out information to sell T-shirts or subscriptions.
Like that, those words don't mean anything anymore if you're calling you that.
Well, that's what I mean.
You're not a dictator and you're not genocidal. I mean, just look what happened with the Hunter Biden laptop story where 51 former intelligence agents testified that this...
Thank you for bringing that up.
Tell me about how crazy that is.
You're talking about Hunter Biden now. A man who, by the way, was never in government. Biden, of course, is no longer the president. What? How do you move off one of the biggest news items ever and turn it into a Hunter Biden discussion? You could have brought up things like the fact that there's videos of Trump and Epstein together. Many videos. They were close friends. Old videos. Newer pictures and videos of them together. Not to mention Jeffrey Epstein on tape saying, "I was Donald Trump's closest friend." These should maybe be part of the discussion right now when this bombshell drops. But no, Hunter Biden is what's top of mind. Somebody who was never in government. Never had power over anybody. Why was this ever a story to begin with? The whole thing is so bizarre. But even if you did for some reason care about Joe Biden's son, who again, for the third time now, was never in government, it's a years old story. You are moving off of one of the biggest bombshells ever that Elon Musk just dropped into a years old story that never mattered to begin with. Let me get to just a different kind of reaction. This one from Steve Bannon, who went nuclear on on Elon Musk, saying Bannon says he told Trump to investigate Musk as an illegal alien. And on his show, he said this.
SpaceX. President Trump tonight should sign an executive order calling for the Defense Production Act to be called in SpaceX and seize SpaceX tonight before midnight. The U.S. government should seize it. If a guy's going to sit there and start making quotes, also, as Stuart Stevens talked back in January, I don't know why we haven't had a full investigation. Look, if you're going to deport illegal aliens, you got to deport illegal aliens. The good go with the good, the goose and the gander. They got to go back to this, as Stuart Stevens talked about, and go through everything about his immigration status. I happen to believe, given the facts that I've been shown, that he's an illegal alien, and illegal aliens got to be deported.
While Joe Rogan can barely muster up an opinion, let alone ask a proper question to the sitting FBI director right across from him when the news breaks, Steve Bannon is very clear in his position and his hatred of Elon Musk. And this is not surprising. He has actually been critical of Elon Musk a little bit during his stint in the White House. But it is a good indication of where a lot of MAGA stands right now, and that is with Trump and against Musk, unless you're being paid by Elon Musk on Twitter, in which case you stand with Elon Musk because it personally benefits you, just as it personally benefits Bannon to stick with Trump. I mean, I want to be clear here. I'm not giving Ben any credit for having a position. It's just the contrast where you have a podcast like Joe Rogan's that is so popular. People still listen and watch Joe Rogan. I don't think he's number one anymore, but he's still, in the top 5. And massive breaking news hits, and it's the perfect storm. That news hits while you're recording, and you're sitting across from the FBI director, and you can't even have a discussion on it. You aren't even willing to broach the subject for more than 20 seconds. It is so completely embarrassing.